and welcome to Some Like It Classic. I'm your host, Tami Goveia, and joined today by Edward Perotti. Hi, Ed.
Hello there. I love the Goveia, my little Miss Linda.
I'm just trying to make sure that people know we are on. So we are on. I'm sending it now. We're on. Join us. Okay. Today, Roman holiday.
Roman holiday.
It was kind of a, what are we going to do for summer? And we had tossed around a couple of ideas. Don't mention the other idea because I still want to do it. Maybe we'll do it for the next show.
Okay.
Because it's just such a great film. But it makes me sad. So, but this one, actually, I got thoughts on this one too. So what is it? What we never do on this is we just kind of assume that people know the movie and have seen the movie, and we don't ever really spend too much time on what the movie's about before we dive into our thoughts and concerns and likes and whatever. So just wanted to give a little backstory on the film Roman Holiday, 1953, starring Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, and of course, Eddie Arnold, right? Albert. Why I say Arnold? Because of Arnold the pig.
Okay, I am
on
sure
Green
right
Acres.
now Eddie Albert just flipped over in his grave and is going to haunt your behind all weekend.
I asked Ernie, it's Eddie. He said it's Eddie Albert. I'm like, great, perfect. And I'm typing this thing up and I put it Arnold and I'm looking at it. I'm like, this is wrong. What is it again? Albert.
We know which character from Green Acres you connected with, and it wasn't the farmer.
The piglet lived a good life on that show. Let me tell you, a better life than Jaja, or was it Ava? It was Jaja, right?
Aren't they interchangeable?
I don't think we ever saw them in the same room.
No, it's kind of like Peggy Lee and Wayne Newton. Never seen them in the same room. They sound exactly the same when they sing.
So we digress, folks. Audrey Hepburn, Gregory Peck, Eddie Albert.
Yes.
And directed by William Wyler. One of the interesting pieces of trivia I want to throw out just on the get-go is, she plays the Princess Anne, and Gregory Peck plays Joe, a reporter. Actually, he and Eddie Albert's characters are both American reporters, journalists in Italy. And the princess has a stop in Italy to do some kind of press, what have you, for her country. And she kind of runs away, right? She sneaks out of the palace of where they're staying at because she just wants to be normal for just a little while. And while that happens, she meets Joe and Eddie Albert. Yeah. Thoughts?
I love the fact that there was, for the longest time, rumors that this film was made based off of Princess Margaret.
Well, what's so funny is whether this part is rumored or not, it's all over the internet, so maybe it's made up. But the royals wanted clarification from the production company. Yes?
Yeah.
That this has nothing to do with Princess Margaret. She loves her job. She doesn't want to run away.
I mean, even back then, the gossip mill regarding Hollywood and royal and all that, it doesn't stop, but it doesn't go away. But I actually thought that rumor, I heard about that a long time ago, but I even thought, I'm like, that seems so out of character for Margaret anyways. So, okay, would I believe it? I don't know if I would believe it, but it lends to a great story, right? It's just this whole, I've never And to put it in modern terms for an audience, it's kind of like Frozen, being raised in a palace and never going outside, and you finally got the doors open.
Yeah.
Um, and you want to see the world. And the beauty of this is the ending. And,
Okay,
and
well, we're gonna
I know, shush, shush.
we're
We'll get there. Let me have
because
my espresso.
here's where we're gonna disagree on the ending completely. Unless, well, maybe we're not. But when we get to that part, it's so tough not to just go there, because there's other lovely things before that happens. Um, but so the whole film was on location in Italy, and William Wyler had to fight the studios tooth and nail because the studios wanted it on sound stages. It was more cost effective. He says, no, it's got to be in Italy. So how can we cut costs? Maybe that helped Audrey get the part.
Well, I mean, at that point, she wasn't. This was her American audience premiere.
Correct.
This is what put her on the map internationally. In hindsight, being 2020, it also, I mean, the Italian Tourism Board should have been paying Hollywood residuals for what this movie did for Italian tourism, for Rome tourism. It
For
really
Vespas.
well, don't even get me started on a Vespa. I mean, my happy behind grew up driving one in Holland, so I still, there's nothing like the hum of a Vespa as you're kind of going 30 miles an hour on a cobblestone street. That's way too much information for this group.
What else is new?
But it
only took you 10 minutes, Eddie.
I told you I'm amped up on sugar and coffee right now, so be warned. But there was, there is no possible way that the soul of this movie would have ever formed in a studio. Because you have Audrey, you have Gregory, you have Eddie, but the fourth character is Rome.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, the only other time I've ever heard anybody speak like that about a location was in Sex and the City, where they talk about New York is a character. In this movie, and I can't even think of a movie off the top of my head that would even come close, Rome is the character. And it sparks the romance. There's so many things that how this movie ends comes from and ties back to the city.
Yes.
And you don't hear that a lot. And you don't get that a lot, even in today's cinema, right? So why is it, this isn't just a classic to me because of the stars. It's a classic to me because he pushed the envelope against the norm.
Yes.
Directing this, wanting to go on location, wanting to figure out how to actually bring a story to life that wasn't Hollywood canned soundstage, what everybody has done. And I mean, I like the movie for the beauty of what I see on screen. The characters, we'll discuss those in a little bit. Hallmark Channel. Sorry.
Hey, it's with it against Hallmark. Come on.
But it's such a grand story because of the locations.
Absolutely. And to your point, when we're talking about, you're talking about the royals, and you're talking about duty, which is so deeply ingrained in their DNA. What is it going to take for someone to buck the system? And to have Rome right outside your window. You're a young princess. It's not like you were in the middle of nowhere. You're in Rome. Mm-hmm. There's a lure to it. There's a calling. The city calls to you to participate in it, to learn about it, to experience it. So it was, as you said, it was such a brilliant choice on William Wyler's part.
And no other city would have worked.
No,
I
when you
mean,
think about
Paris
it,
would not have worked.
why? But why? Paris is pretty romantic. It's 1953. It's a pretty romantic town.
But Paris in 53, as in right now, Paris has always had that vibe. I don't know if Rome really had a vibe back then from an American audience perspective.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? I mean, there was, you got some with, Morocco and the whole idea with Casablanca. You got,
Casablanca.
right? You had some movies with different locations, but at that point, Italy had not really gone mainstream. And I hate to use mainstream because that makes it sound, Hollywood centric and everything else. There's a whole film industry going before with Hollywood at the same time in Italy. But Paris is also very tight, right? The buildings are there. It is very romantic, but Rome has so much open space because you have so many ruins built around and then an occasional building and so forth. It just lends itself to this whole idea of timeliness. And there is a romance and if any of our audience have never ever gone, you need to go to a Rome, to an Athens, and even to Paris. Go to Paris, off subject, go to Paris when it rains, because there's nothing sexier than the streets of Paris and the buildings of Paris with all the shadows when it's all wet. Anyway, I digress. But walking through the streets of Rome, especially today, as you walk by the modern Valentino store, and the next thing you know, you're at Trevi Fountain. It is
So the juxtaposition of it.
It's completely, and it works. The city works so well for the storyline because the city opens your heart as you're watching these characters. And you didn't have to like the characters because you had this fourth character that just inspired you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to love this movie for the performances. You don't have to love it for the actors portraying it, but you have to love it for how they made that city look so damn beautiful. And that's all without lighting.
And is interestingly enough, it's a black and white film, which he also fought tooth and nail for.
Color would have ruined it.
The studio wanted Technicolor. That was the big thing, was Technicolor. And he said, no, I want black and white. I want black and white.
I mean, you watch that movie and the Vespa. I guarantee you that Vespa would have been bright red. But in my mind, when I see this movie and I see it, I picture Gregory Peck with a Vespa that he couldn't have just gotten a regular one because something would have happened and he would have gotten the one left over, right? He had to grab whatever. But it would have been like a powder blue. It would have been this very soft, not feminine, not masculine, but not that strong male machismo Italian red Vespa. So I picture this powder blue thing going through with the two of them on it, and it just, in my mind, it makes it endearing. So going color to me would have just ruined it.
Yeah, agreed. And but it's hard because I know you had mentioned when it came to the casting of Gregory Peck. You have, even for, again, going back to the casting of Audrey, Elizabeth Taylor had been offered the role, Gene Simmons had been offered the role, but because of their scheduling commitments, couldn't do it. Cary Grant was offered the role. He thought he was too old.
He would have been.
If Elizabeth Taylor had been hired, he would have signed on for it. But with Audrey, with the way she looked, he thought, which is ironic because they ended up doing, what was the film that Carrie and Audrey did? Charade.
Charade.
You had that same issue, but Hollywood figured it out, right? The story was strong enough that it didn't bother you. So, but what are your thoughts about Gregory Peck in this?
So and I look at that picture, and the first thing I think of when I see that picture, I'm like, her waist is the size of my left thigh. I'm like, how the hell does anybody, and she's in Rome with all that pasta, and she's got the nerve to have that waist.
Well, my first thought, I'm going to say this really quick. You know, she starts out with long hair in the film.
Yeah.
And when she escapes from the palace for 24 hours or however long she can, one of her rebellious acts is to walk into one of the salons and just get it chopped off.
Which is so Italian, right? I mean, that would be very modern Italian, but I think, I mean, I was gonna say, you know, I'd like to do that, but mine just falls off. So I don't even need to get it cut. It just drops. But okay, so Gregory Peck against Audrey Hepburn. So no other actress would have been able to have pulled off that restrained, elegant innocence. Because even when Liz Taylor would try it, and she could do some of it, it would still come off a little sexy.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And Audrey, in almost every one of her roles, there was this underlining innocence.
And to your point, you know, everyone says this was her breakout. It's not like she had never acted before.
Correct.
She was coming off of Gigi on Broadway, you know, 1951, 219 performances. I mean, she had some cred.
She definitely had some creds, but it is, you know, it was a big leap.
But even with Gigi, it was still a role, to your point, of innocence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Complete innocence, where, you know, I don't think I would have any of the actors that you mentioned. I don't know if I would have liked them because, and maybe it was the goal. I was not in those rooms, but it felt very paternal. I didn't get a romance with the two of them because to me he felt like the subconscious father figure in her head, that he was sterner. He was and even his voice, everything about him is Atticus Finch. And so I had a hard time. I've always had a hard time believing him in a romantic lead. That's just me. But they're so polar opposites. It does work. So I'm not going to say that I hate it. It totally works. But I wasn't like, I don't vibe on him. I don't. If there was a journalist in Italy or in Europe that's covering this level of engagement, there'd be a semblance of refinement to blend in. There'd be little. He wouldn't be Joe Schmo from Kansas.
But wasn't this kind of, you know, he walks in, he needs an assignment. Yeah. Oh, here. It was kind of a last minute. Okay.
It's a fluff piece. It's a total fluff piece.
Yeah. He's not really fine. We'll do it. Not a big deal.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of his performance, but I don't think I would be a fan of anyone's performance in that role because I don't quite understand the role versus Irving. Right? I mean, Eddie Albert being that kind of the comic relief and saying the things that, you know, you want to hear, but you wouldn't dare say, those things. If you put those two together, you would have had her perfect guy. If those two would have been meshed into one person, it would have been a completely different story.
That's interesting. You know, because I don't think the story was meant to have these two characters have an instantaneous connection. I think it was meant to be an experience for the both of them that starts to kind of open up some doors within them that have been kind of shut for a really long time. And for 24 hours, they can go dancing. They can.
That's where I see Eddie Albert and Audrey's character.
But Eddie Albert's character was so, he like you said, he was the comic relief. He's always
until the end.
He's always throwing a joke. He's like,
until the end.
I think the paternal aspect of it really works in a positive way because there was just an inherent trust.
I mean, look at her face in this still.
She's so freaking cute. I cannot even.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no matter what she would try to do, she could never ever. I mean, she's not even looking at the camera, and her eyes scream innocence.
Yeah, and she's looking at that cigarette, thinking, "I've never smoked a cigarette in my life.
It's like, my mama's gonna be so mad.
I can't believe I have a cigarette, and I'm here." And she's just so filled with joy. She's so in the moment. That's what I loved about her character. Princess Anne was just so in the moment. And I think for Irving and for Joe, it was seeing the world through her eyes for a little while, because they're pretty cynical.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I will definitely give you that one. It is walking a mile in someone's shoes.
Yeah.
Which is something also they don't. Well, the proverbial they, but that people don't talk about with this film, right? I mean, they talk about, obviously, like the innocence, they talk about the breaking away, but they don't really talk about each character seeing the world through the other character's eyes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, what was it? Will Rogers that his saying about, standing next to somebody or standing in front of somebody, you don't know them. You need to stand behind them and look at what they're looking at to understand. That is what this film shines a light on. And once again, the fourth character, Rome,
yes,
plays a major part of that, because there is the way they shot the city. There is a freedom.
Yes, an adventure.
Adventure, freedom.
Sense of adventure is just overwhelming.
Which goes back to the Vespa. I'm gonna, ride that sucker until it runs out of gas. But there's so much of the shots. And I mean, even the one still that we just had up at the cigarette, there is an element of release. Because I mean, she has been raised to be restraint, right? Just full on, always there.
Duty,
and
duty.
The look at her eye at that cigarette is like a 5-year-old who was just given that lollipop when their parents aren't looking. Right? It's kind of like, I know I'm not supposed to have it, but I'm taking it.
There was that mouth of truth scene, which is so iconic in the film. And where is it a lion's head or the stone?
I think it's a lion's head.
I think so. And Joe says to her, put your hand in there. Put your hand in there. And rumor has it that what happened, when he scares her the way he does, was completely improvised, which is why her reaction. It reminds me of Pretty Woman.
Oh, with the jewelry box?
With the jewelry box, and then he snaps a shot. She's like, ah! That was probably an improvised moment, which when you talk about that film, when you talk about this film, you always go back to those really organic moments.
Which are the best ones.
Yeah.
They really are, because and I have to believe that was completely ad-libbed. Because I have never, with Julia Roberts, with Audrey Hepburn, with a few others, you don't get an acting reaction like that, especially when you're doing 20, 30 takes.
Yeah.
Right? That is an instant emotional reaction that then after that they tried 5 or 6 more times and couldn't get anything. It's like, oh well, we're going to keep the blooper, right? And it's just, but her innocence that came out in that gave you everything you needed to know about Audrey Hepburn as a person. With that whole scene, I mean, there's a little craziness, there's a bit of a refined elegance even within it, but she's still like, she doesn't go slapping her knee, right? Her shoulders are still back. There is just, once again, anybody who really does not appreciate Audrey Hepburn needs to be slapped. Because there are very, very few actresses, not just in Hollywood, but globally, from the beginning to now, that I would say were professional, were talented, but was still a lady. There was a refinement to her that you could feel in everything she did.
Yes.
You know, and I know that they tried to push Grace Kelly down that path, and there was something there with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Grace Kelly had the Ice Princess.
Correct. And she also had the Americana version.
I never found, like, Audrey's character, Princess Anne, was never an ice princess.
No, and she was but Audrey was international, refined, where Grace was Americana.
Right.
Refined, which not necessarily is the correct refinement sometimes, right? I mean, it's watch Gilded Age, they're all trying to be European. So it just, there was something about her, which then obviously for me is what emotionally did this with Gregory Peck.
Got it.
That's where
again, the juxtaposition of it. I liked his gruffy, his kind of messy attitude in opposition to her refinement.
Maybe I wanted him to look like Eddie Albert's character. So there was that little, so that he really was more of that global reporter who's been in the trenches, who's got a little dirt on him, right? I mean, that whole, because he was pulled together and his hair was perfect. And then, like I said, if you could take Eddie Albert's character, if you could take Irving and Joe, put them together, it would have made a great Joe. Because then you also know Joe's seen the world. There's something about Joe that tells you he knows what's going on. And they're so polar opposite. They both have seen the world, but they've seen the world completely in different lenses.
Absolutely.
That to me would have made that character so much more, and to me would have made the ending probably a little bit more, a bigger sigh come out of my chest. So
let's talk about that. So they have this wonderful experience together. Is it 24 hours or a couple of days? Because they get arrested.
Is it 24 or 36?
Yeah.
It's not a 48-hour thing. So I mean, do they even really say?
I mean, for Princess Anne to be gone for 3 days, that's kind of
that means
emergency.
You would have had every police and royal guard.
Yeah.
But my gut tells me from a timeline, 36 hours makes the most sense.
Okay. So they've had this incredible, magical, you can call it hallmark. They've had a fantastical experience where the rest of the world has fallen away and they are now in the arms of Rome and just absorbing its energy and its magic. And then she gets caught. One of, some of the guards who have been sent out to look for her, to find her. And there's that moment where she gets pulled away. And then she also realizes that Joe, but to this point, she doesn't know Joe's a reporter, that Irving's a reporter. Right. So there's always that secret that is going to come out and it's going to blow everything up. Like in a typical romance, there's got to be conflict, right? What are your thoughts on how it all, you know,
If they,
Dalton Trumbo, he was one of the writers. He wasn't credited because of the McCarthy, he was blacklisted.
yeah, which is a whole nother
It's
conversation
a
unto
whole other
itself.
show.
Don't
But
don't get me on my political soapbox. But
these writers,
if they had reshot this ending to cave to the American comments of what they would have wanted,
expectations.
this movie would have been ruined. It would have been. It had to end the way it ended. If not, the characters are frivolous. They're
The spoiler alert, guys.
yes, big spoiler alert. I'm telling you how it ends.
Yeah, Princess Anne and Joe do not get together at the end.
It was, and that honestly, that was also bucking a system in Hollywood. There, and it's funny. Everything I've read about this, you always see these comments. Hollywood classic movie that doesn't have a happy ending. Bullshit. It has a happy ending. Happy for her that she now all of a sudden understands more of the world.
I don't care.
No, I do care.
This is a romance. This is Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn.
Nope.
I want them together. I want her to walk away from her throne. I want them together. I'm telling you. The first
Tammy, I'm gonna. Nope.
The first time I saw this, the first time I've kind of warmed up to the concept of the ending over the many years and many times that I've seen it. But the first time I saw it, I was livid. Livid. There's a press conference. She sees him and Irving, and they're now reporters, and she's got to play her role as princess, and you can just see her heartbreaking. You see her heartbreaking, and you see his heartbreaking, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know how this is going to work out, but it is. I know it's going to happen. And then she walks off. They leave. The press conference is over. The press leaves. He's the only one there. He's by himself, and it ends. Oh, Ed, I wish you had been there. I was screaming.
Okay, so and I can't wait to see the comments come when I say this. Why are you upset that a woman is choosing for herself duty and the love of her people and her role that she has been given? I mean, birthed in, but she is choosing that over giving it up for a guy. I look at this movie and I see this as that if that ending in today's market would be expected. The audience would love the fact that a strong woman in a leadership role is saying, I'm sad, I understand this, but I have a duty, and this is my duty that I have been born to give, and I understand it. I thank you for that time. My life will never be the same, but we had our moment, and this moment together has changed me forever. We can't have any more. That makes me happier. That ending makes me happier because she chose not just herself, she chose her role. She chose her place in the world to go at it with a different lens now. And I would be more curious on what she does moving forward with her eyes completely open to the world versus a throne room.
And you say, if this movie had happened now, the expectation would be for the woman to choose.
Yes.
The power, the legacy tradition over a man. I'm coming from the viewpoint of this is 1953. I'm in there. I'm in that world. And to me, she didn't have a choice. You call what she did a choice, but I call it going back, maybe she gained more perspective because there was a resolve. You know, Audrey did a beautiful, beautiful thing with moving into that place of resolution of my role is important, my duty is important, and I'm choosing that. But to me,
So,
it
okay,
doesn't have to be one or the other.
So Irving giving her the envelope.
Yes. With the pictures.
Correct.
Yes.
Do you not think that that put a light in her head about selflessness? That he had the means to make a fortune.
Because he wanted to blow it all out.
Right?
He wanted the cash for those photos.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
But him giving her that envelope is, I mean, it is a gesture, and most people see that as, okay, they're friends and he doesn't want to do it, I'm going to give you this. I see it from her perspective of, there is somebody who has every possible motive to ruin me, and he is giving it up for a greater good.
Right.
Which is exactly what she does in the end. She gives it up for the greater good.
He moves into that place of integrity.
Correct, which she does herself.
It's like Janet Leigh being killed in the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the film. It's Janet Leigh. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, come on. She got to sleep with John Gavin. Who would I kill me in the shower after that? I don't care.
It's just, it was unexpected. It was unexpected. And I can see that point of view. It was just unexpected because you've got these two fabulous people that clearly, when they're together, it's a beautiful thing when they're together. Was it all fantasy? Could you translate, those 36 hours into real life? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would say
probably not.
No, I think it can happen. I think it does happen. But I do think, at 3 o'clock in the morning, when the bar ugly lights turn on, we all have to make a decision.
Yeah. It just feels like,
and that's also why I like the ending. Was in 1953, talk about bucking the system. That it wasn't a Hollywood ending. There was no kissing on the beach sunset as the camera fades to black. It was, and to me, it also wasn't final. They didn't end it, like, he's not walking out a door.
No, he's standing in the archway. He's
standing there alone. So it does leave the imagination of,
he's waiting for some. Yeah. I totally got that.
So they don't. So
you think they do get together?
Well, so in your heart, you can think that, right?
You still want that, yeah.
So they didn't, like the old adage in horror movies, unless you physically see them die on camera, they're not dead. So you don't know what happens.
Yeah.
But you understand that she understood that she has to be selfless. She has to choose duty.
And you're right in that when she makes that decision, and you can see it when she makes that decision, you've got her entourage, like, okay, business is, back to business as usual. And she's it's not liberated. It's not back to business as usual.
Yeah.
She's not the same person anymore.
She is 100% liberated.
She's claiming her autonomy.
Yes.
Right.
And she's claiming her voice. She's claiming herself, which, to have her end up in a romantic relationship doesn't leave her in a relationship with herself. And I know this is overthinking and overall, but
I know we are so overthinking it, but at the same time, It's
I get you want ice cream at the end of the
I
movie with a little bit of whipped
do.
cream and a cherry.
I
You
do. I don't
know,
want the cherry, but yeah.
I'm the crass one, and I'm like, no, I completely get it, and I appreciate the non-traditional Hollywood ending.
Yeah.
I appreciate how they shot her face and the resolve when it
Yeah.
finally turns. That he created in 1953 a powerful female at the end of this movie. He took
And the
shy,
metamorphosis,
yes,
her journey. Yeah.
shy and innocent, typical Hollywood ingenue character, quirky, funny, right, blah, 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 blah. And you know, when she walks out of that room, she's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And once again, bucking the system in 1953 Hollywood, I appreciate that. And I applaud it that, they're also, from a classic perspective, there were directors out there who got it, who got the fact that their job is to tell stories, to also change people's perspectives.
Mm.
And to me, the movie up to that point, if it was done today, would be on Hallmark Channel.
Yeah. It
And
has been
probably
done.
and
It
probably
has been
having.
done. Do you know how many royal stories Hallmark has done?
I don't really need to see Lacey Chabert cutting her hair off on the Vespa. Sorry, Lacey, don't
But
call me.
you want that moment where everyone can have it all.
Correct.
And that's where I was, I just wanted everyone to have it all.
Well, and that's our fantasy, because
I know it
you
doesn't
can't
always
have it all.
happen.
There's no way to have it all. And unfortunately, in life, we have to pick and choose.
I know.
I know it sucks.
I know.
But you should always, and I think this is the big takeaway, at the end of the day, as long as you're not hurting anybody, let's preface that, as long as you're not stepping on somebody or over somebody, you should always be choosing yourself first. And because you're no good to anyone else unless you have that sense of self.
You're true to yourself. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's the almost it's sad, but for 1953, that's, to me, is like the hidden message in this. Is, would their relationship have lasted? No, it wouldn't have lasted had they, had she gone back with him, because the obstacles would have been ridiculous.
I know. There's just that scene in the car where he drives her to the palace, knowing once she gets out of the car, they're never going to see each other again. Was just so heartbreaking.
So for the audience, just to understand that if Tami and I are in a car together, Tammy's going to eat cotton candy and I'm eating black licorice.
It's just stick my face into the cotton candy, like
It is very heartbreaking, but it's also, once again, spiral up on the message, not down on the message. And if you spiral up on it, it is heartbreaking, but it's also, you're like, I wish I had that sense of self. I wish I had that inner strength to be able to, if something like that was put in front of me, how would I respond?
So James Lott Jr. is in the chat.
Uh-oh.
When we were talking about cotton candy, he said, yuck. So I don't know if he doesn't like cotton candy or if I'm just getting way too sappy. He's like, gross, you're getting way too sappy. But
well, he's a black licorice kind of guy himself.
Yeah.
Where I was going to say, we're both kind of salty and spicy. So.
A little bit. So it was interesting when we were talking about taking Roman Holiday and transferring all of these emotions and all of these Italian, the Italian experience and the Italian adventure. How do you translate that into a soiree?
Well, I'm going to punt it back to you because, right? We just celebrated my birthday, which, of course, today, looking at me on camera, I'm going to say I actually look the age. I need to soften these damn lights.
Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and it was very Roman. It was very. and it's the one thing with the movie that I'm surprised they didn't play up more was the food. To me, that would have been a hysterical running joke of her eating everywhere
Yeah, it was
and
more.
eating
There was
cafe food and being taken into mama's kitchen. And that was the one thing for me that was missing. Was the city was gorgeous. There were great scenes, but where the hell is Mama Leone pulling her into the kitchen and having her get all floured, right? But anyway, so yeah, I honestly, to me, this was what we did for my birthday was very much Rome, right? Where it was about the simple comfort food, but lots of it. The everybody in the kitchen cooking and having a good time and not overdone with decor, using in this case it's all olive branches, but just getting everybody in there, getting their hands dirty and making good solid food without fluff. That to me is, if you want an Italian inspired event, is think simplistic. Don't, there you can go Venice and go Venetian and go over the top. Oh my god, that pasta.
I want some right now.
Oh my lord. I have to actually, two of the guests have emailed me that I have to go over their house and show them how to do it because they can't figure out the pasta water to Parmesan cheese ratio to get it correct.
So good.
Um, but take Venice off out of the mix, right? Where you'd have Carnival and you'd have the Venetian masks and all that. That's probably the one place in Italy that would be decadent. But if we're talking Rome, you're talking very earthy, very family, very simplistic, family style. Not overboard on centerpieces, not overboard on china and flatware. Just food presented in a way that is appealing, but also approachable.
This was the sauteed spinach with the pine nuts.
With the pine nuts and the golden raisins and the garlic.
So good. The raisins surprised me.
It's,
that sweet
yep.
aspect of it. It was nice.
It was really nice. And then that hint of vinegar with the raisins and everything, and then the garlic. Oh, it was fantastic. But it is, at the end of the day, it's simple, right? It is very simple. You don't, and that's the beauty of, I would encourage everybody to do this as they, set up a movie night, watch this movie with your friends, but do dinner as family style.
Yeah.
Go with a really cool pasta, but get everybody, show the movie at 8 o'clock, get everybody at your house at 5:30, 6 o'clock. Give them, you don't even have to give them, let them volunteer, but give them all a task in the kitchen so that everybody is adding their own flavor and their own idea to make something a little bit more unique and playing and using your hands. And that's Italy. That is Italy. It's not, 30 ingredients in a dish. It's 4, but done the right way, it's spectacular. And that's, so if you're thinking about tying in a movie and the soiree, oh my God, the beans, the fava beans and the prosciutto and the bacon and and you know what's so funny is we didn't have anything left. It was gone.
There were no leftovers at all. Oh my gosh.
None. Yeah, and if any of our friends are watching, y'all are pigs, because I really wanted the leftovers the next day.
Well, I also really loved the wooden bowls.
Yeah.
Because that just supported the earthy element of the meal.
And it doesn't have to be, and this is where people get hung up on details. And it's kind of funny me saying this out loud because I'm a detail pain in the butt. It doesn't have to always be, if you're doing Italian, olive wood. It doesn't matter. Nobody is going to notice if you're using a walnut tree bowl or if you use whatever it is. But think natural servings. Think of serving your meat on a stone platter. Think of going to World Market. I was going to say Cost Plus, but that's going to show my age. World Market and picking up just a couple simple tiles, Italian tiles, and using those instead of bread baskets, serving your bread on that. Play with different elements that you would think could be in someone's kitchen or in someone's home out in Tuscany, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, nor should it be perfect. A little broken here or a little chip here, or taking a couple rocks and putting a wood plank that you have all your fish on. It'll look gorgeous, it'll look unexpected, but it'll feel very Italian. And that's the part to embrace when you think of this movie, is she is royal. So yes, you do want to have that, but her eyes are open by the city and the soul of the city. And that's what you then want to convey when you start celebrating yourself with that, right? I mean, look at the colors of that.
I know, it was beautiful.
And preface, everything fresh. Go to the market the day
Farm
before,
to table,
and everything needs to be fresh. If you could take it one step further and have local produce, I encourage you to do that, because that's also another story you're able to share with your guests, which would also be very Italian. Is, I guarantee you that cauliflower was picked today, right? And that's kind of where you want to take it, is don't overthink it, but don't go expected, or shouldn't say expected, cliche.
and what went hand in hand with the film and your soiree, your birthday party, was the memories that were created. You know, you look at Roman Holiday and what the characters went through. You know, she was given the photographs at the end, and you can see her treasuring those photos for the rest of her life, whatever happens.
Yep.
At that time and that place and those moments will never happen again.
Correct.
And those feelings will never happen exactly like that ever again. They will be treasured. And that is something that you can carry into a dinner party or a gathering with friends and family. And because, again, we always say this, it comes down to the memories and the experiences that friends and family create with one another, because that's what you take with you.
I mean, yeah, and all you, and I feel like I so preach this to death, but trying to get my clients to understand that this isn't about Instagram, and this isn't about People Magazine, and this is about moments to remember. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to talk about during your eulogy that you had a great event. What they are going to talk about is that time that you two were, I mean, the two of us just being able to sit at the table and talk. I am keeping, just so you know, your profile picture now on my phone is the picture of your coffee ice cream and your cappuccino that you sent me. Because when Paul showed that to me, I started cracking up, because I'm like, if anybody wants to understand Tami the way I understand Tami, that's the picture. There's no smile on the planet. There's no dress in any of the world that is going to say it's no. That picture with the coffee ice cream and the cappuccino is Tami. And that will forever be here. And that's a moment. And that's where, when you look at different films and trying to gather inspiration, trying to recreate is impossible, because that was done as a moment in time with someone else. You can never do it. So you want to concentrate on the emotion that you're watching and what it gives you. And if it's giving you a sense of wonder or creativity, or I can just imagine what the smells from that cafe when she has her cigarette, what it smelled like with the coffee and all that, right?
Yeah.
That's your inspiration. That's what you build on and then give it your voice and tie it in. And for me, like that dinner was 100% my voice in how I view my moments. You know, we do the grand, we do the crazy, we do the Louvre, we do all these things. But for me, privately, for my circle, this is me. This is me at my most real. That all people, and that's also what you want to give them is people will always have perceptions of you. And your circle should know you. You shouldn't be scared to give your circle you.
Yeah.
Which is also why I decided to not do the big grand celebration for this year. Was it just felt weird. So why wouldn't I go back to the Italian roots and give them something from my childhood? That dinner was my Sunday dinner childhood growing up every Sunday. So that's hopefully my little inspiration for everybody is when you see if, and I'm not going to say if, when you watch Roman Holiday, get inspired by the fourth character, get inspired by the city.
Yeah.
And let that just, and if you've never been to Italy, give your guests your interpretation of that city. And you know, and the movie itself is a great jumping pad because it's black and white. Let your imagination just go and have fun with it. And there is no, when you're doing things like this, there is no wrong answer.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it is just go with it. Have a blast with it.
Have an adventure.
Yep.
It's not planned out. That's
Yep.
the beauty of it. Yes. It's an adventure. Just say yes. Just say yes to life in those moments.
I do have to say, and the audience won't know what I'm talking about, but you'll understand this. I did bring home some cake.
Did you?
The next day, that cake was so much better.
I can imagine.
Oh my God. So just for the audience, we had a raspberry olive oil cake.
It was so good.
And the next day, the filling had softened up a little bit more. And it just, you had the olive oil and you had the grittiness of the flour, and then you had the raspberries. I'm like, who needs anything else?
I know. It was delicious. It was absolutely delicious.
Anyway,
I'm so glad we decided on Roman Holiday. You know, it's just such a gem of a film. And you know, Audrey won the Academy Award for it. Gregory Peck fought tooth and nail to try to get her top billing. It didn't happen because he was convinced that she would win, and she did. And when you see the film, you can understand because of the nuances and the subtlety. They're just so beautiful. The moments were so beautiful.
Why isn't Eddie Albert on the poster?
I know it's not easy. There were a couple of posters that had him on it. And I chose this one, but there are several posters.
Are there? Okay.
Yeah, I think there's one, like 3 of them on the Vespa, or it was cute. But yeah, he is acknowledged. He is acknowledged.
See, now I could completely see you, me, and your significant other on a Vespa in Rome.
Oh yes.
I also see us falling into a river, but that's neither here nor there.
I've got my little Vespa.
No, you're driving.
Oh, well, there's that. I can still do this. It'll be a little wiggly, but I think I can manage. Thank you, Ed. Thank you. This was lovely.
Course. I love this.
And with Edith Head, let's just say, of course, the costumes, the wardrobe was designed by the goddess herself, Edith Head, and this was the gown that, you know, was kind of fashioned by Princess Margaret, perhaps. Who knows? But it was beautiful. Everything was just exquisite. Did Edith do Breakfast at Tiffany's?
That's a good question.
What's the little black dress was
I mean, that was a total riff from the Chanel dress,
Yeah. Anyway, I
but
don't know.
I
I'm just
don't
thinking
know.
of Audrey's. And Givenchy was funny girl, I think, and she always had Oscar, and like, she always had the high profile designers going forward.
Well, when you have a waist like that,
I
come on.
know, where you can just wear anything and look like a princess.
I mean, honestly, you love her, but I'm going to say I hate her. 'Cause, you
It's a
know,
love-hate
it's a
relationship.
love-hate relationship. Not that, I wouldn't look good in that gown, but damn it, I'd like to have that waist. As I'm thinking to myself, what am I having for dinner? What am I going to shove on my face now?
Where can people find you on the socials, Mr. Edward Perotti?
You can find me on the social. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Perotti EA. You can DM me through my website at edwardaperotti.com. Big surprise, and Tammy will validate this. I actually do respond. It might not be 24 hours, but I actually do respond. Just don't, be respectful, because it's amazing how many people out there are not.
Be nice,
Be
people.
nice
Be
people.
kind.
We can
Nice.
disagree 100% on things like Tammy and I, but at the end of the day, I'm still hugging her, and we're
Yeah,
still going to go to the Polo Lounge and have our souffle.
we're still having souffles and olive oil cake, and
Yeah, of course we are.
that's the priority. I just want to thank everyone for joining the show. We've got our video audience, and we've got our audio podcast people. Thank you for joining Some Like It Classic. You can find us on Insta at Like It Classic. You can find me on Insta at Tami.Goveia. Facebook at Some Like It Classic. These are all a part of the amazing JLJ Media forum and channel on YouTube. These podcasts are streamed on Apple, Audible, iHeart, Spotify, all over the place. We're all over the place. So thank you again for joining us. I'm your host again, Tami Goveia. This has been Some Like It Classic. And until we meet again,
Ciao.
ciao.